Welcome back to the Whatnots Reactor Core number 114. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Ignacio Rojas to talk about some more of The Mandalorian. Ignacio, we'll start with your apology. I was right. I did all. They're rebuilding the Mandalorians. What do you have to say for yourself here?
Kyle, you know what? I would very much like your apology because I was very much right. I don't know if you paid attention to IGN's Twitter feed at least. Right after we published our episode, they came out with a piece saying exactly what I was saying, that the show had it was going nowhere.
And
So
it
like
went
my
somewhere.
apology. Kinda.
It's
At
all
the
good.
end.
Yes, we are here to talk about the second half of Mandalorian season 3. I am on the side that I liked this season a lot. I think it is the best of the 3 seasons that we've gotten so far,
Wow.
and by far. But yeah, it was good. I'm still not like super high on this one. I also just happened to watch The Bad Batch season 2, and chef's kiss. That show is so good. Season 2 is amazing. But Mandalorian, Ignacio. So yeah, you were then on the side that this season was just real slow. How has that progressed now into the second half of The Mandalorian season 3?
So first I'll start saying that it is my least favorite season.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Opposite extremes here.
My problems with the first half of the season have been made public already. And so coming into the second half, I was for sure coming in very uninterested, very unmotivated to watch it. And I think it kind of has to do with maybe I'm a little bit Star Wars fatigued at this point.
Sure.
I think we've gotten a little bit too many shows from Star Wars that feel very much the same. So I've always heard people talking about superhero fatigue and why we do not have fatigue with Marvel, seeing as they come out with movies 3 times a year plus their shows. And I think that Marvel does it right by, sure, those are superhero movies, but they are also movies in different genres where
Yes.
you get comedy, you get action, you get a body cop movie, you get a spy movie, you get a straight up superhero movie. Secret Invasion will be very different from She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that on the Marvel side, whereas I think with the Star Wars, you had 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, you got the Book of Boba Fett, which on the style, those shows are very similar.
Yeah.
And then you got Andor, which is also very similar style-wise. Sure, it is a different setting, and
disagree with that one, but sure, continue.
Sure, those are kind of different, but still in the same realm. They're still very close. Sure. One is a heist movie, the other one is a Western movie, but at the end of the day, those are, I don't know, cousins, whereas the other ones are different people, just as an example. And then you have Obi-Wan, which, sure, it has a different type of plot, but still, it is shot similarly. It is similar action. It is very similar. And so I think that contributes to why I'm getting a little bit Star Wars fatigued and why I wasn't very interested in actually keeping up with the season.
I gotcha.
Now, talking about the last 4 episodes that we got, I think that those 4 are so much better than the previous 4 that we got, where you had a plot, you knew where you were going, and you went there. You gave me action, you gave me mystery, you gave me an adventure, and it was all very well. I still have problems with it, where I feel like the Moff Gideon story, the plotline, came and went. For as big as Moff Gideon is as a villain and how big he's shown in those 2 episodes, he just came and went.
See,
and
that's
that's my problem with it.
I disagree. Like I feel like the show. I mean, again, what I mentioned last time is that I felt because of the show's success, it's kind of been playing this slower game, this slower burn here, and we saw Moff Gideon a little bit in season 1. We saw him a little bit more in season 2, and
No,
we thought
he was the antagonist of season 2, right?
yeah. I mean, he's kind of been the overarching antagonist.
Well, kind of like in the background, yes. For season 1, you only see him at the end, I think.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas
right.
season 2, he is very much
exactly
throughout the whole season.
See, he's been like slowly being put more and more into the show, and here by the end of this third season, that whole arc, that whole story arc, kind of comes to a close with him, exploding in fire, which he didn't show a body, so I don't know. But yeah, like I like what this show has been doing in general, but I definitely see the issue of kind of season to season. The show has kind of shifted what it is from season to season, right? Season 1 was like episode, like problem of the week. They go to a new planet, a new town, and and then season 2 had more plot, but still had that kind of episode of the week thing going on. And I feel like here in season 3, we got the episode with Lizzo and Jack Black. And then there was, what was the one that we got here? We did, let me look up the episodes, because I felt like there was kind of one.
You got the Attack of the Pirates.
One. Yeah, the Pirates also kind of felt like that too. But it like, I guess my point is that it felt like this season was more about the plot and less about these, like, every episode is a new little planet and you go to a new little town and there's someone new to be like, oh, go Grogu, he's so cute. And this one was more about like, okay, let's start rebuilding the Mandalorians. Let's start introducing Bo-Katan Kryze to fans that haven't watched the cartoons, all the dark saber stuff, and that kind of comes to a culmination. So it worked. It worked on me. I think I liked this one a lot. But I can understand where you're coming from, Ignacio. So in that, I will say you're not necessarily wrong at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, you are wrong, of course.
Not at all. I'm always right.
Yeah, no, I disagree with a lot about what you said. I think that the first half of the season doesn't really add much to the second half of the season. I already explained my complaints where the first half felt a little bit like Mando going without a direction, except for the direction of, hey, I want to go back to being a Mandalorian. But that, to me, isn't that interesting. It isn't enough of a plot to actually sustain a season. And then by doing that, you reintroduce Bo-Katan. Mm-hmm. But her role only comes in at the second half of the season, where now she has a purpose of building up the Mandalorians, which, again, going back to how disjointed this season feels, they had a whole episode about them taking a chunk of the planet. They wanted to rescue the planet so that they can have a place that they could call home. What happens next episode? Fuck that. We want our own planet. So that amounted to nothing. Well, sure, it amounted to them coming together and Bo-Katan.
Well, they've now learned that the planet is not cursed like they thought it was. So they can go back there. When they went back there, that's when they discovered Moff Gideon's base. we don't know if they will continue to be like, okay, now that he's gone, we can continue clearing out the planet. But that was the thought for the long time, right? The Mandalorians were so scattered because they thought their planet was cursed. And when Din goes back there and discovers it's not, that's hope for the Mandalorians that, hey, like, maybe we don't need to live this like so scattered, and we can actually start forming back up and becoming the proud warrior people that they used to be, right?
No, I understand that as an explanation to why it happens, but to me it feels like how they are presenting the plot, the whole plot element of we are getting this place because we want a place to go home, now feels irrelevant because we got a place. Oh, but no, fuck that. We want our own planet. So why did we even fight for this place? And then going to the whole Moff Gideon thing here. Moff Gideon only became a thing at the last 2 episodes of this season. Sure, you get the mention of the episode where we see Coruscant, which having ended the whole season, that felt like an unnecessary tangent.
Yeah,
but you got the mention of, hey, I work for Moff Gideon. That's a check for Moff Gideon. Go do some other thing. Then you have the episode 5, I think it is, where you have the ex-Rebel pilot, now New Republic pilot, finding out that Moff Gideon might have escaped. That's a second reference. And then, second to last episode, we got Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
That's all he's present throughout episodes 1 through 6, I believe.
Yeah.
And then now we're told, hey, the last 2 episodes, Moff Gideon is the big bad. He says, hey, I want to combine Jedi, Mandalorian, and clones. Yes. What did that amount to? The clones getting... As soon as we see the clones are dead now.
Yeah, well, I mean...
He got a cool suit?
The thing is that that Star Wars as a whole has been kind of exploring this idea of cloning, right? We got the sequel trilogy with all the clones of the Emperor. We got this, like, we know that this is kind of why Moff Gideon wanted Grogu in the first place. We weren't exactly sure, but the end of this season confirmed it, right? That they wanted Grogu not to necessarily clone Grogu, but to somehow isolate the ability to use the Force. And put that in a super soldier's body. So, I mean, I was thinking over the course of these 3 seasons that they are trying to do this to help clone the Emperor, and we know that that's not the case. I gave a shout out to the Bad Batch, which season 2 specifically is also looking into cloning and what happened to the clones after Order 66, and stuff like that. So we've started to explore it in a lot of different patches. So I think, yeah, like it as a whole, I think it's working, and it's interesting for someone like me. But I can see if you're not up to date with all of the cartoons, if you don't care, you're not watching them, or you're not as like super into all of the Easter eggs and stuff like that, it might not hit. It might not land. But I don't know. I enjoyed it and I liked it. I'm also not like, fuck yeah, man, this was the best. Mando season 3, best Star Wars ever, dude.
You said it was your favorite season.
No, it's my favorite of these 3. Yes, but
I don't know. Yeah. At the end, from what you're saying about the bad, I always say bad bitch, the Bad Batch. So that only makes the whole clone subplot nothing more than a glorified Easter egg. He
No, because
mentions it once, we see them once, and they are dead. That's it. No build up, no payoff. It's just, hey,
the build up has been
clones,
there. We know
right?
from
Clones,
season
right?
1 that
Clones?
that's why they wanted Grogu. They were experimenting on him. We get the hints of that in season 2 that was correct. Here we are in season 3. That's confirmed at the end. He's wanting to make these cloned super soldiers. So it is cloning. Like the New Republic is really interested in cloning technology. And that leads to, once the First Order is in power, them cloning the Emperor and bringing him back. It's not an Easter egg that it's in here. That this is the general direction of the Emperor and the Empire and the First Order.
But see, that's why I say it's nothing more than a glorified Easter egg. You're saying it's building up to the Emperor. The Emperor is not in the show, so it's basically building up to nothing.
But we know that down the road he comes back.
So in another movie,
build up to him.
But as to what this show concerns, as to what this season concerns, it builds up to nothing. There's no payoff to that plotline. They just die before, like you said, they are dead before they can even draw their first breath.
Right. Those ones are.
As fast as they came.
Those aren't the only people working on cloning experiments out there.
But Kyle, sure, there's someone somewhere out there in the galaxy also working with clones. I'm talking about this show and their treatment of clones. They are dead. They're done. Finished.
Those 8 that we saw in that one room, yeah,
they're dead.
The
sure, there's someone out there in New Camino. I don't care. They are working also with clones. But God, as to what this show concerns, they're done.
Yes, those ones are Moff Gideon's experiment seems to be done. Like I said, we didn't see a body on him, and since he is working on clonings, how do we know that wasn't a clone, right? There is stuff like that. There's the doctor that gave his old TED talk over on Coruscant. He's still actively involved in this too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Didn't they wipe his mind?
Is that what they did? That they erased his memories?
She fried his brain. We saw it. She fried his brain.
But
she turned the machine out.
Did they take that knowledge? Did they take that knowledge away from him so that he wouldn't have it and that the New Republic can?
They told us, hey, he said, no, you're gonna wipe my mind. No, hey, we will only use it a little bit, and then they show the other girl crank it up to the very end. Sure. She fried his brain.
Okay. Okay, sure. But
again,
still,
it's going
that's
to
the
nowhere.
Overarching direction of where the galaxy is going. If you can't see that, then you're not watching Star Wars stuff right now. It's what's happening in the galaxy.
Kyle, this is my overall problem with this season, is that they tried to go so many different ways and ended up going nowhere. Do you have... They wanted, hey, we want a redemption story for Dean.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. We wanted to bring Bo-Katan back. There you go. We wanted Bo-Katan bringing out the Mandalorians again. There you go. We want Moff Gideon to come back. There you go. All started.
Yeah.
And except for the Bo-Katan one, all done.
No, the Mandalorians aren't back. Right?
Like I said, except
that's
for
still an ongoing plot.
Yeah, except for Bo-Katan's thing, the other ones are done. Mando already had his redemption at episode 2. What was the other one? Moff Gideon came
Well,
and went.
sure, he's like back in the Children of the Watch.
He brought back Bo-Katan that time. So now the only thing that's
Things
open
don't just
is
stop there. There's still Mandalorians scattered out there.
Cal.
They're not a galactic power. They're not back like, oh yeah, we can get in another war with the Jedi here. That stuff's still happening.
Let me ask you one thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plot of the season? If you had to sum it up, what's the overall plot of the season?
The overall plot of this
season 1 is very much Mando trying to protect Grogu. That's season 1. Season 2 is Mando having to deal with Moff Gideon. What's season 3 about?
Season 3 is a continuation of the stuff that we have learned in season 1 and 2. You said he was protecting Grogu. You're right. But you need to ask why, which leads to Moff Gideon and his experiments. We see a little bit more of that in season 2, right? Here we get the conclusion of that. We now know exactly what his experiment was.
Just at the final 2 episodes. 2 episodes. What's the season about?
Yes, so the third season specifically, I could say, is about 2 things. It's about restoring the Mandalorians to power, as well as the conclusion to Moff Gideon's story arc. Very simple. Those 2 things.
So, two episodes each, at best.
No, this is Ignacio. All right, let's move on.
Okay,
because we're talking in circles here. But let me ask you this: one of my favorite scenes, despite me not actually really caring for much of what happens on Navarro, I did like seeing them kick ass. Just like that action scene where they are this like paramilitary group kicking ass and taking this heady. Is that something you would want to see more of down down the road?
Yeah. I like that episode in particular. I like them taking back Navarro. I'll call it how I want. Navarro.
Sure, yeah.
I liked it. I liked seeing the Mandalorians fighting together, and I did like that plot of we are 2 tribes. Let's come together. We have a plan. We have a goal. Let's go for it. I like that.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite episodes of the season.
Sure. Yeah. I liked that a lot. I really hope we get more of that, because that's who the Mandalorians are as a people. Like, they are these elite warriors, and so if we can get them back to that status, I think that's fantastic. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you seen Rebels?
Nope.
Have you watched that? No?
I barely watched Clone Wars.
I thought so. Yeah. So I also loved when we got the Easter egg of seeing Zeb in the little bar that we got there. You know, there was that Rebel pilot that we got in a couple of the episodes.
Yeah. At the end, you say you. Yeah, you see him at the bar. You see all those helmets.
Yeah, so the Rebel pilot, when we first meet him and when he was first in the bar, there's that alien that comes to visit him. That is Zeb. He's one of the main characters in Star Wars Rebels. So it was fantastic to see him be like, hey, it's Zeb, voiced by Steve Bloom. This is amazing. So yeah, I was excited about that, because we've seen most of the cast of Rebels in live action now. We've seen Zeb, we've seen Sabine, we've seen Hera, we've seen Chopper. We've kind of seen oh god, now I'm blanking on the main dude, Ezra. We've seen him in a hologram, and the Ahsoka show seems to kind of be basically Star Wars Rebels season 5. So I just thought that stuff was neat, to see him in there. I do hope we get more of that. But yeah, I liked where this season went. I think I would like them to keep retaking Mandalorian, keep like building up their tribe and going on missions here and there. I don't know how much we'll see of that. That might get pushed back down into like the C plot, as now Mando goes out with Din Grogu is his name.
Well, didn't the showrunner, I think it was the showrunner, say that now the Mandalorian is Bo-Katan, no longer Din Djarin?
I guess that's. I mean, that is, I think, one of the confusing things to me about the show is that everyone is just gonna refer to Din as the Mandalorian or as Mando, even though they're all Mandalorians.
Yeah,
there is not one that is like the definitive article.
Yeah, but I think who the show is about. I think that's what he meant by saying that now Bo-Katan is the Mandalorian, as it is now her show.
Are you saying she's gonna be the main character going forward?
That's how I took it.
Interesting. I haven't really heard any of that stuff.
And I think it makes sense by the end of the season, where Din and Grogu, sure, they are still kind of active, but they are also kind of settled down. He's gonna take the odd job here and there for the New Republic, whereas Bo-Katan has a mission now.
Yeah, I feel like we will get both of their stories. I mean, because it's Grogu, right? Like the show's success centers around him, right? They're not going to be like, all right, no more of that guy. I think, like we saw in this season, Bo-Katan was like the second main character, and I think we will continue to see her in live action a lot, which is good. I think that's only a good thing that will help mature the show. I'm not sure if that's the best way to put that, but just like it makes for a little bit more complex of a show when you have, you know, things happening over here, things happening over there. How does all of that come together? But yeah, I enjoyed what we got for sure. And hopefully we find out a little bit more about what's happening with what did that I mean, who knows if that doctor is actually like dead, or he's just been lobotomized, or I don't remember her name, the Moff's former assistant,
which
that
also
is this like spy,
went nowhere. Sure, you can. She was in the episode where we saw Coruscant. She was one of the mains of that episode.
She is a double agent, yeah.
Yeah, her whole thing about, hey, I used to work for the Empire, but now I'm reformed and all that, and then the treason at the end. And then she makes kind of a cameo when the planet is under attack, and she says, hey, they're not under our watch, so let's show them why they should be under us. And then the quote-unquote payoff was her talking to a droid, then to Moff Gideon.
Right,
and
yeah.
That's it? That's her payoff?
Well, that's the thing. That's not the end of her story of what's happening there. Because we're also in the era where the First Order, it's not a thing yet, but it's coming to power. We saw Hux's father, I believe. We see Hux in the sequel trilogy, but if I'm not mistaken, I think the one we see in the trilogy is his kid, I think. So like we are seeing the start of that. We are seeing the start of the remnants of the Empire turning into the First Order and coming to power, and she is a part of that. Might not be a big role in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think like her like turning out to be a spy is necessarily the end of her story. There, we're just not.
And honestly,
gonna
I
pick
feel
that
like
back up.
that whole thing we see with Moff Gideon and that council. I don't remember what he calls the council.
The
I think
Shadow
he had
Council.
the Shadow Council. I feel
Ooh.
that could have been that could have made for a better season if they would have focused on that, on Moff Gideon actually working in the shadows to bring back what ends up being not necessarily being back, but in that attempt of bringing back the Empire, ended up creating the New Order with that
Yeah.
shadow.
Well, I definitely think we will get more of that in season four and beyond, if not into the Ahsoka show, because they started to mention the imminent return of Grand Admiral Theron, who is and will be the main antagonist of the Ahsoka show.
He was in Rebels, right?
Yes, that is where he got his introduction. And spoiler alert for that, I guess at the end of that show, he's kind of disappeared. Him and Ezra, we don't know exactly what happened, and so the fact that they know that he is returning and it's gonna be happening soon, and then we know that it will eventually happen. I think is gonna lead to some interesting stuff. So I'm excited for what's down the road. Is there stuff we haven't really mentioned that you would love to see more of down the road?
No. It's something that we haven't mentioned. Not necessarily that I want to see more down the road, but Planet Epcot. Basically Planet Epcot. Man, that was wild. For sure it was different from the previous episodes, but just getting all those cameos. You got Jack Black, Lizzo, right?
Yep.
You had Christopher Lloyd as the security guard.
Was great.
You get the return of the battle droids, which I love them. I loved when they go down and Mando starts messing with the battle droids and the other droids.
Like, hey!
Man, I love that. So I really enjoyed the episode, even though for the most part it kind of felt like a tangent to something that was very unrelated to the plot. I don't know, for some reason I like the whole aesthetic of the place, and just seeing Bo-Katan and Din Djarin working together on that mission.
Yeah, that one really felt the most like season 1 of the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
me, and that's not a bad thing, right? Like I liked season 1 of the Mandalorian. But yeah, it was just these like, here's a one-off story about them over here on this planet. They get to solve some little mystery or help them out in some way, and it was just like, all right, that's cool, it's fun. Low stakes, Star Wars, good stuff.
And it had what I liked from Star Wars when you get to see different planets and how different planets do different things, where you get, of course, the royals / elected leaders in Jack Black and Lizzo, and then you see how that society has gone into depending on droids. They basically let themselves be replaced by droids, and they do not want to live. They become the droids because they don't want to work anymore. And then you get the whole angle of on the droid side. Yeah. That bar scene where the droid explains, hey, we want to work with you because humans gave us life and we want a purpose. We don't want humans to replace us. We want a purpose. We will help you. I think that I really enjoyed that scene, and so that's why I liked at the end of this episode, because it showed us something different from this whole all these desolate planets that we've seen already.
Yeah. If you like that, again, The Bad Batch Season 2, highly recommend it. It's doing that same stuff, but for the clone troopers, of just like what happens when the war is now done, they've been decommissioned. Are they dealing with rapid aging? Like, who's fighting for their rights in the Senate? All that stuff. And it Star Wars Bad Batch Season 2, I think, is now one of my favorite Star Wars pieces of media, and Andor is still my favorite. Rogue One is up there, but now Bad Batch Season 2 specifically is just like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, but I haven't watched Rebels and Clone Wars.
So with Bad Batch, you don't need to. There will be a lot of good payoff if you have seen that stuff, but it's not necessary to have watched those to see the Bad Batch. But yeah, I agree though that scene in the bar with the droids was really good. I do hope we get some more just different kind of planets where we get to see stuff like that, of just like how the Empire affected it, and how in its absence now what is that like. So yeah. Good stuff. That's about all I have to say on The Mandalorian Season 3. Again, do you have any kind of final thoughts that you want to add on to this?
Not much. I already said what I had to say.
Good stuff. Well, we will wrap things up right there then. Ignacio, where can the people find you on the internet?
They can find me on Twitter at Ignacio Rojas B. That's IGNACIOROJASB.
There you go. If you guys would like to stay up to date with me, I am at Yo Kyle Springer. And if you would like to follow all of the stuff that we do here at The Whatnots, we are at The Whatnots on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. You guys know the deal with all that. If you're watching this over on YouTube, we got some more videos right over there for you all to check out. But yeah, this has been our reaction to Mandalorian Season 3. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.